to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, let's do This Week in Auto History. Konrad always puts this together for us.
So this week in 1934, the automatic transmission was patented by Oscar Banker. He filed for a patent for a new type of automatic transmission. The automatic transmission wasn't a new idea at the time, but it had hardly been perfected. General Motors and REO had debuted semi-automatic transmissions the same year, but both were found to be quite reliable. And to this day, GM automatic transmissions are still unreliable. Sorry. It's my editorial comment.
Well, they're
for the
not by
day.
themselves. Let me put it that way.
Even though Banker's patent, which used hydraulic force, it had no need for a manual clutch mechanism, so he kind of developed the torque converter idea of fluid multiplying power inside the automatic transmission.
Kind of like a turbine engine does.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, and you got to remember the original automatic transmissions General Motors offered were first mass-produced, and they were used in the 1940 Oldsmobiles and Cadillacs of the day. In 1939 this week, the Automotive Hall of Fame was founded. The idea for an Automotive Hall of Fame was conceived during a time when the auto industry was still relatively young but rapidly growing. The institution was initially operated in New York City. However, it became established as its permanent home in Michigan in the heart of the automotive industry. In 1960, the Automotive Hall of Fame relocated to Dearborn, where it resides today in a modern, iconic building. The move highlighted Michigan's central role in the automotive history and development. In 1951, DeSoto Fire Dome engine began production for 1952 model year. The DeSoto Fire Dome was the Hemi engine that DeSoto used. It was called the Fire Dome.
You want my DeSoto?
Um,
I don't know which button to use. Me? There you go. Thank you. I have a DeSoto story. You ready?
Sure.
So my parents' first car after they got married in 1948 was a 51, I think, DeSoto, 52. It was green. I got a picture of me on it when I was a kid. So it had a starter problem, and my dad had to teach my mother with a broomstick and a hammer
how to hit the starter.
How would you open the hood and put the broomstick on it and hit the hammer on the broomstick to
get the starter to turn?
And that was pretty common. That's my DeSoto story. Thought I'd share it.
Should have taught you to do it and left your mom.
Well,
stay
I
in
was
the
a
car.
little bit young and probably couldn't hold a hammer at that time. Oh, if I had a hammer.
And
had a hammer in the morning.
Yeah. In 1965, the MGB goes on sale. If you remember, the MGB was the little hardtop MG, teeny tiny little car. And then later on, the MGB was built from 65 through 73, and in the later generations, the MGB was they had a GT version of it, and the GT version had that 215 cubic inch aluminum V8 that was originally a Buick engine, but it was also sold by Oldsmobile and Pontiac. General Motors had sold all the castings to British Leyland back in the mid-'60s, and then that became kind of the engine of choice at Range Rover for a number of years. But they ran that V8 in that little MGB GT, which I thought was quite a hot rod. And then in 1968, the movie starring Steve McQueen, Bullitt, debuted. Steve McQueen takes viewers on perhaps my opinion, the most iconic car chase in movie history.
I agree.
Through the streets of San Francisco.
I agree,
What a great movie. Good, intense car chase to watch, and the music background was pretty awesome.
Wouldn't you have loved
well.
to have been on the crew that filmed that?
Yeah.
My gosh, yes.
When they said McQueen did most of the driving.
Yes, that's what I understand.
And the one part of the movie where he kind of blows a turn and throws it in reverse and gets all that wheel hop and tire smoke in reverse, that was not originally part of the movie, but they had filmed all of it and thought it was so good they left it in the movie.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah. And then in 1969, the first Plymouth Superbird was completed. You can kind of see one of them here. You guys had highlighted the yellow one back there. John had. workers at Chrysler's Clare Point pre-production facility completed the first Plymouth Superbird this week in 1969 as a 1970 model vehicle, initiating the historic run of iconic NASCAR-inspired muscle cars. Superbirds began life as a 1970 Plymouth Roadrunner and underwent most of their Superbird-ish look at the Lynch Road assembly plant.
Birdish.
Well, you got to remember, it started as a Roadrunner, then they put the wing on it and the front nose and stuff on it. About 5 miles away, and final assembly included installing the nose happened at Clare Point. One of the unique things about Superbirds is every production Superbird had a vinyl top on it.
I did not realize that, but that one over there does.
Yeah, every one production had a vinyl top, and the reason for that is they couldn't cleanly finish that C-pillar roof panel, so they figured the easiest way to deal with it was to cover it up with a vinyl top.
Understood.
Kind of just a unique fact about Superbirds.
I didn't know that.
And that's this week in auto history.
What were you going to ask, Mars?
If David had turned his mic on.
What I was going to say, but if you go look at the Dodge equivalent, it does not have a vinyl top on it. They figured out a way to do that, whereas the Plymouth factory just threw the vinyl top on it to cover it up.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yep.
We'll have to nail John down and get the story.
Ask him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he knows.
The
I'm sure he
Daytonas
does,
don't
too.
have the vinyl top on it.
Right.
Huh. Well, there you have it.
Interesting trivia.